What happened while we were away, brought to you by the phony narrative surrounding Abrego Garcia, marches on. There are multiple Democrat representatives and senators who are either in the process of or have pledged to go to El Salvador to stand in solidarity with the El Salvador illegal alien alleged gang member deportee Abrego Garcia. Meanwhile, at the White House, here's Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Arresting violent illegal aliens from American communities every day. Here are a few examples from the latest ICE report, which I received this morning. ICE Los Angeles arrested a 54-year-old citizen of Mexico convicted of rape by threat, sodomy with a person under 14 years, and kidnapping in San Jose, California. ICE Houston has arrested a 23-year-old citizen of Mexico convicted of predatory criminal sexual assault of a child in Cook County, Illinois. ICE Houston arrested a 64-year-old citizen of Honduras convicted of murder in Los Angeles County, California. ICE Chicago arrested a 49-year-old citizen of Guatemala convicted of assault and arson in Prince William, Virginia, not far from here. ICE Denver arrested a 36-year-old citizen of Mexico.
Learning Chinese today. Today's phrase is good luck, Democrats.
祝你好运。 民主党人.
In other news, according to Penn Live, the suspect in the arson attack at the governor's residence targeted Josh Shapiro due to his perceived stance on the phony nation of Palestine. According to a search warrant obtained by Penn Live, the suspect, Cody Balmer, called 911 following the attack early on Sunday, identified himself by name and told operators Shapiro needs to know he, quote, will not take part in his plans for what he wants to do to the Palestinian people, end quote. Department of Justice is going to war with the state of Maine over Title IX.
Today, the Department of Justice is announcing a civil lawsuit against the Maine Department of Education. We have exhausted every other remedy. The state of Maine is discriminating against women by failing to protect women in women's sports. Pretty basic stuff. This is a violation of Title IX. The Department of Justice will not sit by when women are discriminated against in sports. This is about sports. This is also about these young women's personal safety.
Meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, that country's Supreme Court has ruled that its 2010 equality law defines a woman as a person who was born biologically female. And that's now official that for legal purposes, women are women and men are men. Susan Smith, co-director of For Women Scotland, one of the plaintiffs in this case before the UK Supreme Court, she says everybody knows what sex is. You can't change it and
don't mess with Scottish women.
Tariff war update. Bloomberg is reporting, citing a source, that China is open to trade negotiations with the United States, but says Beijing wants to respect that Vice President J.D. Vance's quip about Chinese peasants didn't sit well with them, and they want a clear point person for dealing with the U.S., and that they want more clarity as well on the United States' objectives and messaging. President Trump said this morning Japan is in D.C. to negotiate a deal. Joe Biden climbed out of his spider hole for the first time since his ouster from the Oval Office to remind reportedly skittish independents why they swung for Trump.
This new administration has done so much damage and so much destruction. It's kind of breathtaking it could happen that soon.
You've probably heard about that American missionary pastor to South Africa named Josh Sullivan, who was kidnapped by masked armed men right in front of his family during a church service last week. Well, South African authorities say he's been rescued after a dramatic and deadly gunfight with the assailants. Definitely an answer to prayer. And finally, when your opponents are ceding the premise of your arguments, that's a pretty good sign you're winning. Here's Whoopi Goldberg on The View about the Department of Education.
Maybe some of what's happening, like, they're trying to take apart the Department of Education.
Yes.
Maybe that is a good thing, because maybe it will force us to make sure that our kids actually get what they need. Maybe it'll force us to go to our state and say, listen, I want to make sure, since you're taking all this money from my taxes, I want to make sure that my kids get exactly what they need. I don't have to wait for the government to do it. Thank you!
Your terms are acceptable, and that's what happened while we were away.